I want to talk a little bit about this song in particular. I'm a strong believer of when inspiration strikes to somehow document it, somehow record it. I utilize voice notes a lot. Any sort of video, either on my laptop or my phone. I play guitar a lot just randomly at home, and if a riff starts coming together and I don't have time to work on a song or work on music, I'll just film myself playing that riff and I'll come back to it. And for instance, with this song, I was actually walking my dog and the drum beat and kind of the main guitar riff just kind of popped in my head, and I was just humming it as I was, watching him pee and stuff. And, so I just recorded it on my voice note. I was trying to find the voice note, but I didn't have it, unfortunately. And then when I started actually working on the music, I went back to that voice note, and I was like, I think this could be a cool song because I've always wanted to create a song from one simple melody and showing how you can change the dynamics and chord or different undertones under each part to create a lot of dynamics and build a cool song. Because if you notice, the bass line is the same riff just driving throughout the whole track. And when I do demo, I write most of this material, especially on the road with Between the Bear to Me. And so I try to, anything that makes it easy for me to carry around and to get things done quickly. Like I was talking with you earlier, I can't focus like Jamie. Jamie can sit in front of his computer and just do EQ and all these things that take so long, where I'm like doing a drum part, checking my email, talking to people, and I just can't focus like that. So for me, it's important to have someone like Jamie that sits down and will make these sloppy ideas come to life, because as you'll see by this demo on the screen, I titled it TG for Thomas Giles. February 1st is when I started working on it. And I use Easy Drummer for drum ideas, and I use the pop rock kit. I have a few different kits. I really like the jazz and cocktail kit a lot for just kind of having different tones that you would normally not have in rock or metal. And I just get simple beats. Like with this song, we're going straight up. Hopefully you can hear it. Go to the main section. And I make the drums as basic as possible. And especially with this project, because I knew I was going to have a really good drummer playing on it. So I wanted to have the drums very bare bone, and I gave it to him, and I was like, this is the feel of the song, but I want you to really put your flavor on it. And honestly, I don't want to spend the time thinking of fills and adding dynamics to the drums. So I literally I carry this little guy around, and this is what I write a lot. Yeah, I write a lot of keys. I write a lot of drum patterns and stuff with this, because I can keep it in my book bag. I can bring it out when I get an idea. It's just really handy. So I normally just, with this song, I put down the drum track, and then I track the guitars. I have an inbox too, which I bring on the road with me, and just go direct in. And I actually used amps in Logic, and I just kind of tweak it. I honestly don't know a lot about gear. I just kind of go for what I think sounds right. So I just got a basic idea and put the whole song together, and that's that's honestly how I approach this song. Oh, and bass. The funny thing about bass in this song is I didn't have a bass, so I just tracked some crappy guitar and put an octave.
Put an octave pedal in, or octave effect or whatever.
So, which obviously doesn't sound good, and I would never release this, or I shouldn't let people even hear this.
Yeah, but just all stuff to get the motive and develop the motive.
Things can be quick, and you can spend more time working on the actual song than the production side of it. Because if you're going to go in the studio, someone like, a professional is going to take care of that. So I always think about that. And, obviously my approach is a lot different depending on the song. If it's a guitar-driven song or a keyboard-driven song, or if it's a piano and vocals only, it all starts with a simple riff or chord progression, and I just build. That's my favorite part about music is building and, you know, intertwining melodies and making a section something special from something that's not. And that's
I
kind
think
of how I
it's
approach it.
important to note that Tommy, with his solo stuff, you know, you write a whole bunch of different styles of stuff. You've done metal, you've done, you know, electronica and acoustic type of thing, and you know, rock or whatever. And I'd imagine, like, you know, even though you might use Logic for everything, it's a completely different approach for, you know, because you enjoy doing a variety.
Yeah, and the reason I do use Logic, first and foremost, it was what I learned to record on, and it's comfortable for me, and I just haven't taken the time to really go beyond that. But I really like its MIDI capabilities for keyboards especially.
Really user-friendly.
Yeah, and doing electronic stuff, it's quick, it's really fast, and I really like that aspect of it. And I still learn every single time I open my laptop. I learn something new, and in these classes, you know, I've learned a lot from this. You know, it's awesome to kind of learn your perspective.
Do you use Logic with the BT Bam stuff also?
That I write, yes. Yeah. Blake does, you know, we do all our own pre-production. Our drummer Blake records everything at his house, and I do vocals on my end. And
so Blake uses Pro Tools.
He does, yeah. So he just sends me the file. He sends me a file with a separate click track to the song and then the actual song, and I write vocals or keys or whatever needs to go over it after we have the whole skeleton. But anything I write starts with Logic on my end.
Yeah, it's amazing to think, because, you know, I'm from North Carolina, and you're originally from North Carolina, but you live in Southern California. But with technology,
it's crazy.
You're able to, you know, Tommy and the rest of the guys, Blake and the rest of the guys can do stuff at the practice place and Pro Tools, and then you could send files to you, and you in Southern California can work on stuff on your end and send it back. I mean, that's one development over the past, you know, I guess, you know, 5 years, decade, that's really blown my mind.
I mean, even when we started the band, like, we didn't record anything before we got in the studio. Like, Paul and I would sit in our apartment and learn the song. You know, we'd write the songs on guitar and just learn them. You know, we didn't even record them anyway. And it's just slowly become, you know, using technology to help. And, you know, I forget things. Like, that's why I'm always carrying my phone. I have a voice note thing for lyric ideas, because I will forget. You can ask people that know me well, I forget everything instantly.
Well, that's one thing I'd like to talk about personally as a producer or whatever. You know, the amount of preparation that you guys do is appropriate, I think, is you know, is professional, you know, and even for the amateurs is possible. You know, you know, use these as tools to remember and formulate your ideas and stuff, but like I said, don't use them as tools to actually be the product. You know, like I think a lot of the clients here in the past 5 years, you know, or so from my, you know, in my business or whatever, it seems like there's a big trend of people just writing all their material with Guitar Pro and in the computer and things like that, and they're actually not able to perform it. I think you know, Tommy and the BT Bam guys do a good job of, you know, they use these tools to write the stuff, but it's actually stuff that they know they can play, and then, or if it's something that they think might be difficult, they'll discipline themselves to actually to rehearse and be able to perform in the studio.
And tools like Guitar Pro are great, especially if you're in a band like us who have 7, 8, 9 records. You have a lot of material, and if you have those files with how to play your songs tabbed out, and, you know, 5 years from now, you're like, oh, we need to play that song, we haven't played in forever. Instead of sitting there learning it by ear, you can reference it and get the song tight again for the live situation. But it's cool. We all have a very different approach to our writing. I mean, Dan, he uses Reason to do all his recording. Drums and everything he does in Reason. Blake does Pro Tools for the band's pre-production. Paul doesn't like to record. He likes Guitar Pro because it's fast for him. He's the same as me. He doesn't like to sit there on his laptop. And he'll write riffs on a guitar and just tab it so he can send to us, so we can hear his ideas and build off of those. So it's cool. We all have very different writing styles in the first place, but even as technology goes, we use different things.
Yeah, I didn't realize everybody used, I guess, Dusty's just kind of the improv.
Yeah, and he works with Blake, you know, because they're very close to each other, and, you know, when he's with the band, he works with stuff with Blake. So, yeah, but
part of the secret of BT Bam.
Yeah, the pre-production, man, it's just, I mean, it's a long process. You know, we record the record basically over and over till it's right before we even send you anything or start anything with you.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed. You know, like Blake usually comes in, he's got all the click tracks mapped out. It's
Yeah.
not like a, you know, it saves a lot of work on my end or whatever. There's no, we don't have to waste time, second guessing tempos and figuring all that out and stuff. Having said that, if you're doing a more simple stripped down style of music or whatever, it's not as big of a deal as it is with Between the Buried and Me or something.
Or something that improv helps. And
yeah, exactly. But it's one of those things where I really think it helps to just be prepared as possible. You know, it'll keep your, it'll keep the cost down. It'll, allow time to do the extra special stuff, the extra vocal layers, the extra mixing, the extra production to take your project to the next level. I think, the more prepared you are, the better. And I think BT Bam are shining examples of how that is done, should be done.
Yeah.
To my experience,
Yeah, I mean, right now we're writing, and that's what's going on right now. I'll actually play it for you. I'm joking.
No, so how long does it take you? I'm just curious about like the real practical, like day in, day out, writing on this thing. How much time do you spend it in a block of time when you're doing it? Do you spend an 8-hour day writing, or are you creative?
It depends.
For 2 hours?
I recently started. I have a 2-year-old now, so when I'm home, I try to be a dad, and so I've started writing a lot on the road.
Okay.
With this material especially. So, I just made it part of my routine. Wake up, get breakfast, start my day, and sit down and start working on ideas. And, I'd work up till sound check, sometimes after sound check, and sometimes if I'm still feeling it after a show, I'll get back at it. Especially if it's like an electronic or something, I can sit in my bunk and do it or something. So, it's something that makes me, as I've gotten older, I feel like I need purpose on the, not so much waiting around, just feeling worthless, like I'm being productive every day and feel like I'm working towards something alongside the live aspect of being on tour. So that's why I've done it, and I've really enjoyed it. But as far as the band, I mean, it really depends. I mean, it's like it can be a 6-month process to write for us, or it can be, this record's been pretty quick, but we've worked a lot, like, full weeks. So they've been getting up 3 days a week. I personally work on it probably 3-4 days a week on my end. So yeah, it's a lot of work. And I think a lot of bands don't realize that sometimes you need to do that, because it's not costing anybody money if you're sitting at home. Right. I hate to always think about money, but when you're older, you have to, and you have to think about those things. So
yeah, it's a business,
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, Between the Buried and Me, for those you guys watching, I imagine a lot of you guys know who Between the Buried and Me is and like their sound, and obviously what you guys do is well beyond what most bands do in terms of progressiveness. The actual physical demand of the performance and the song structures and the amount of parts and riffs and drum stuff that you need or whatever. And it's to me, it always has blown my mind. You guys come in and you're more prepared than somebody doing a boom smack rock record. Yeah.
I think it's because of the material. We know it demands that, and the fun thing with writing with us is we really improve each other's skills every record, because we do write challenging things and we help each other. I think starting out, with the solo project, it's such a great outlet for me. I really enjoy stripping down, staying away from things that are technical and creating songs from 2-3 riffs. But starting out, I really recommend playing with a band, or at least a few guys that can help you become better at what you do. You just learn so much by playing with people and working with people, rather than just doing everything by yourself. So I think that's important, because that's how anything I've done, I couldn't have done without the guys.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I mean, even this, I couldn't have written any of this without
myself as a producer.
Yeah.
I've been working with you guys, and you guys challenged me.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I got to record Between the Buried and Me. I got to do this next record. This next record has to be the next level. Because they're, they constantly climbing their success or whatever, or have been constantly climbing their success in this industry or whatever. And it's just, I want to be able to provide a product and the production that complements what they're doing, and do my best work. I think it's kind of probably a similar thing that actually works within the band. You
Oh,
know?
definitely. I think that's part of the reason we've worked with you for so long. It's just we've both been building from each other.
You know, I
It's
try hard anyway. Might
And,
not be
and
good
it's fun,
still.
man. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody wants to have fun. You know, my favorite part of being a musician is recording.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people that they don't like that part of it, but I could do it every day. If I had a 9 to 5 going to the studio every day, I would love it.
Yeah, we
You
have
know,
a good
so-
time.
Yeah. So it's really, I mean, it's all personal preference. It's just my opinion on everything. So yeah, but I mean, as far as, I mean, if people are interested in how I approach lyrics, it really, there's a big, broad spectrum as far as where I get my ideas. I mean, sometimes just an idea pops in my head, and like I said, I go to my voice notes. I have a list called ideas that I literally just write in constantly. If I'm like, oh, that'd be a cool song title, that could be a cool record title, this could be a cool topic, or, you know, and depending on the material, a lot of Between the Bear to Me material lately is more suitable for a story. We've done more concept records, and my approach for writing as a storyteller within that music is I kind of write like you would write a score, but in reverse. When I listen to the music, I envision the story happening. So I have the music and I'm trying to envision the picture. And that's kind of how I write lyrics for that kind of style. And then a lot of the solo stuff, or even earlier Between the Bear to Me, you know, I've tried to really get personal, and you know, things you just want to, just like every lyricist or singer, you just want to get some things off your chest and ideas you have that you think are interesting. Hopefully you think are interesting, and you know, just something that fits well with the song. Like for instance, this song, it's kind of dark, gloomy, aggressive, and it's about my fear of death, which it's something that I can't get over. It freaks me out. You know, I'm very honest about it, and the song's kind of like me dealing with that in hopes of helping that problem, but I mean it hasn't. But but you know, certainly when you have that personal connection to a song, I think it brings that out to the listener, and hopefully they can kind of get a closer look at you, because I think music should be personal.
It's an
Even
expression,
with,
artistic
it's an expression.
expression.
You know, I like my space on a personal level, but I think, you know, with music, I like
to share.
Yeah, I like to share.
Maybe that's why, you know, in your personal life, like
And I'm
you're
opposite.
sharing
I'm
enough.
opposite in personal
You're
life.
sharing enough already.
Yeah.
One thing I had a question about, or whatever, as far as, you know, and I've known you guys a long time, but as far as the lyrical content, like I said, with the BT Bam stuff, you guys have done kind of this conceptual stuff. I mean, I notice a lot of stuff is kind of, you know, on the surface is, you know, I guess fictional type of stuff or whatever. But do you think in political terms, like analogy and things of that nature?
I'm not really a political kind of guy.
Yeah.
I've really never put that in my lyrics at all. I'm a very strong believer of people can do what they want. You know, I'm not trying to preach anything to anyone. So anything personal is just my personal feeling on something that involves me. You know, I'm not trying to really change anything, change the world. But with the storytelling, I do try to put some personal touches on it. And a lot of stuff people would never notice, but it's stuff that I know. I'm like, even though that's a character, that aspect of that character is very similar to how I would act in that situation, or I would handle, you know, isolation for a long period of time, or how I feel when I'm on the road and I'm isolated in my bunk and I'm freaking out, you know, being away from my loved ones. You know, there's different things that I deal with on a personal level I can get across in a storytelling form, even if someone wouldn't know that was happening.
Yeah, just more of an expression of how you feel and how you think about something, as opposed to trying to get a message or a point across.
Yeah, and
I've had some kids ask me about that before.
Really?
Like
Yeah.
what is that song about? I'm like, dude, I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes I forget. You know, we've written a lot of material.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot. So
You forget what your song was about.
well,
What was
yeah,
that one
and
about?
I mean, and yeah,
where your head was at.
exactly,
I guess.
exactly where your mind was at that point. So, but yeah, I mean, my approach to everything is just, it's like the approach you have. If something sounds right, it's right. You know, when I write vocals, I always try to start with what's the first thing that pops in my head. You know, with Between the Bear and Me, right now I'm writing vocals. You know, I mainly do it in my car because it's very quiet, it's just me. I drive somewhere secluded, I sit there, and I'll, if it's something melodic, something singing, I try to think of a melody, and sometimes I write lyrics on the spot to that melody. And if it's a killer melody, I'll record it on my voice note because I will forget it. And I'll go back to it when I actually demo it.
Yeah.
So that's how I write. And with screaming, I take a totally different approach. I don't write while I'm thinking of the melodies. Screaming, especially in the older stuff, I would just have my topic for the song and I would just write and write and write and write, not even think about patterns, anything. And then I wouldn't read what I wrote at all for a day or two, come back to it, realize that most of it's garbage, and kind of keep editing it till I have something that I can work with. And then I start from the beginning, and I'm like, okay, that will work there. This could be a cool little section there. And that's how I approach like the more heavy aspects of what I do. So it's kind of weird. I do the heavy lyrical approach and writing approach is very different from the singing stuff.
It's more like free association.
Yeah.
Just like get a whole bunch of content down.
Yeah.
And then pick.
And I've tried to do that with singing, and it just doesn't work because sometimes you want to rhyme. Something you hear it in your head, and you're like, these things. You need 5 syllables here, and I have a freaking huge sentence. This doesn't work.
Yeah, I remember the first album, you were jumping around my parents' basement with the microphone. That's literally how the vocals were happening.
Back then I wrote too many lyrics. I was like,
yeah, and I remember the doubles, you're like, hey, let's double that. You're like, yeah, mute that one, and I'm just going to do it again. And it was like, there's different stuff sometimes.
But it worked somehow.
And we just kept it all.
Oh, yeah.
It was so punk rock.
That record's pretty
I've been trying to get you guys
That record's cool. We wrote, we recorded it live in 5 days. Full-length record, technical metal record. And
sonically it's not good, but the way it was done.
But I feel like as far as production goes, it really fits where we all were at that moment.
In that time, yeah, it was kind of like that's how that was like.
And I feel strongly about that. A lot of musicians like to talk bad about their past and production. I'm sure you're like that in your past production. But a lot of it, it's where you were as a person, as a musician. There's things.
Where technology was, and
yeah, exactly.
Financial limitations.
I listen to our old records, and there's stuff that I wouldn't write right now, but it's like it's perfect because it's 100% what we were doing, what we were feeling, and it felt right. Yeah. So I think it's a little weird to me when I hear someone be like, "Ah, that record's junk." Like it was important at some point in your life, and you spent a lot of time on it.
Yeah,
so
you loved
there's
it
a
when you were
reason
doing
why
it.
it happened. Yeah. So.
But the same thing was like, why did I have a mullet? I look back and like,
because it was awesome.
It was awesome. It actually still is awesome.
Yeah, the mullet still gets respect. But yeah, as far as writing, I don't really know how to elaborate much more than that. Yeah. And guitar, I was, like I said earlier, I think yesterday, I'm not trained in anything, so it's a learning experience, and working with people. Our guitarist Paul and bassist Dan, they're very trained. And working with people like that, it helps someone like me, kind of be in between that world, completely natural or completely just winging it to somebody that can help you be like, hey, maybe we should do it this way. And I think as a musician, it's important to work with people and be open to those ideas because you're not always right. A part can always be improved by someone else's opinion. And even on a producer standpoint, I think don't be afraid for someone to tell you to change. You can always try it, like we were saying yesterday. You can always try it. If it sucks, you go back to where you were and start over.
Yeah, I think from an outsider looking at between the Buried Me and with your solo stuff, that the only thing formulaic about it, if that's a word, is that there's no formula exactly. You know what I'm saying? The only aspect of it, this formula is like, hey, we're gonna just do what feels right at the time. Yeah. I'm just gonna sound what I'm in the mood to do. There's like I really respect that you're like, you guys haven't been like, hey, we need to go more commercial because we can make more money, or we need to be more heavy because this scene wants us to be like we used to be, or whatever. It's just like you just do what artistically you feel like doing and feel is right at the time.
I think
just that's what we do
just from day one with music, people wrote it because they wanted to express themselves. They wanted to create something that made them enjoy it. Yeah. I think that's the most important thing. And I think when you are trying new things and doing new projects and working with new people, it keeps you interested because you don't want to get bored. The second I'm bored, I don't want to do it anymore. with anything. So it's like you want to, things need to be fresh, and you grow as a person. You want to try new things. I just think it's weird to do what you feel others want you to do, because you never can have a grasp on that. I mean, that's something every musician deals with, especially with the internet, comments, and you just can't, you have to do what feels good to you, I'm not going to write a technical death metal album because I can't.
Yeah.
It's like you have to know what you're good at, what works for you, no matter what you play or what you write.
And that part, that's a notion that's driven like my development in terms of my whole business model and strategy is providing the service as the producer. I'm not trying to impose my sound or style on you guys or any of my other clients or whatever. And I think because I was in a band, and I know how it was. I know how it was to have a vision and want to express myself, and then try to approach. We worked with other producers and stuff, and they just either weren't willing or able to give me the sounds and the tones that we wanted to get, and and to let us express our art. And I think that's that's definitely shaped what I do, and also plus just like you said, you want to do stuff that's fresh. Myself as a producer, another reason I don't have a sound is because I'm constantly, I want to do different things, different projects. I don't want to make every band sound the same. I mean, I think technically I could probably get a higher fidelity recording if I use the same tones, the same presets, the same thing, and just kept building and making it better and better. With each project, I could probably get better in fidelity and things of that nature, whatever. But I think I would personally get bored. I think, and like I said, I don't think it serves the clients who are have an art and want to express themselves. So, I don't know. I just feel like.
So how did you, like going from that first record in Jamie's basement, how did BT Bam build a career that spans 7 or 8 records, and now there's, your whole band is making their living, touring and selling records and playing shows? Because I think a lot of people, we got questions about that, coming in from online, and I think that's.
Well, I mean, from the beginning, Paul, our guitarist Paul, and I, and Will, the guy that played drums on my solo record, we were in an older band called Prayer for Cleansing, and we did local things on the East Coast, and I think they went out west once when I wasn't in the band. But when that band kind of dissolved away, we started Between the Buried and Me, and we knew from day one our focus was, that's right, metal, but how we perceive metal. Like, that's not be stuck doing what everybody's supposed to do. Even the first record, we have a jazz section, and we recorded a bar scene behind the jazz section of us glasses clinging.
Yeah,
and,
restaurant,
we experimented with these things from day one because we're like, let's have fun with it. Because I mean,
rock.
At that point, there was not anything to do with music or with money in music, and from day one, I mean, there wasn't money, and we didn't ever expect to get any. And I think if you're a band starting out, one mistake we made was the second we had a record label that took interest, we're like, holy crap, and we just jumped into it. I feel like you need to be careful. You need to have patience, get a good lawyer. I'm serious. I mean, it's seriously important, especially nowadays. And I mean, it's just hard work. I mean, we always, from day one, we booked our own shows. We played with friends' bands. We'd save up money to rent a van. When we first started out, we would just go to our shows in 5 separate cars and put our gear in the back, and you finally get enough money for a van, you tour in that, then you get a trailer. And you slowly build up your business, and you just tour. And at first, we did whole tours that were house shows, and which was fun. It was a learning experience. You become better as a player because you can't hear yourself. You can't hear anything. Your live scenario is a nightmare. And then you just tour and do what you do. And that's really how we've approached it. We've never been like, okay, next year we're going to do this. We still don't. This is our goal 5 years from now. It's like we write what we feel is us at that moment. We do the tours that we think are right for us. Every decision we make as a band. Nobody's more important than the other. And we have a great right now we have a great team with management and booking that just really, they know our vision and they can help you with that. But that's another thing. I don't think bands should rush into management. I don't think you should rush into booking right away because it's not super essential at first. I understand it's a lot different now than it was in 2000. But you can do a lot of things yourself, especially with Creative Live and other educational platforms. You can learn a lot on your own and really take things into your own hands and screen your own T-shirts. You know, there's everything you can do yourself. But you just have to know when the time's right to bump it up a little bit, you know. And in that moment, we went 7-8 years without management. We did it ourselves. And then there was a point where we're like, something needs to change. And we knew that as a group, and we made that decision.
Well, I think the advantage of that too is then you know what to look for in a manager because you've done it yourself,
you
right?
know
Like,
what's
if the guy's
happening.
doing a good job or not because
Exactly.
you know exactly what should happen.